This is a salvage corvette. The salvage corvette is a corvette-sized vessel with middling engines, weak armor, and no weapons to defend itself with. It is nearly harmless on its own and requires multiple vessels working together just to function properly. The salvage corvette is the most dangerous ship in the entire Homeworld franchise. The reason why is in the name. It can latch onto any enemy ship that's larger than a fighter and salvage it, dragging it all the way back to the mothership where it is then shoved inside and pops back out as a brand new addition to the fleet. The problem with this is that once enough corvettes latch on to salvage it, all the ship's systems are knocked offline and is rendered helpless until someone can shoot the corvettes off, or the ship is spirited away to Character Jet's magical realm, where I can only assume that the captured crew members are ground up into corpse starch or something, because, well, what else are you gonna do with them? Just leave them in there to take up space in the brig? The salvage corvettes are the most versatile units in the game, despite technically being a non-combat vessel. Their mere presence can shatter enemy formations, and if left to their own devices, can neutralize their best ships and increase their fleet power simultaneously. They are, as the experts in the field of RTS would put it, fucking broken. Today, we find out exactly how broken they are, by attempting to beat the entirety of Homeworld 1's campaign without building any combat ships whatsoever. We will be playing the 2015 Remastered of the game instead of the original, because the latter doesn't put a limit on how many salvage ships you can build, while the former puts a hard cap of 14 on them. This won't be enough to stop us, of course, but it will make things a tad bit more interesting for me to play and for you to watch. When I say combat ship, I mean any ship that has any sort of weaponry whatsoever, so even the support frigates and carriers are getting axed. This leaves only the research ship, resource ships, gravity generator, cloak generator, sensors array, and probe left for us to build. Except I lied, actually, because we're not building any gravity or cloak generators either. This is because, despite not having any weapons, these two ships can still directly contribute to a fight, the former by disabling enemy strike craft, and the latter by rendering their ships invisible. So that leaves us with a paltry 6 different ships that we're allowed to build. None of which have any guns to speak of, but as you'll soon see, we don't need any firepower of our own.
"100 years ago, a satellite detected an object under the sands of the Great Desert.
Welcome to your new home. Population you, 600,000 civilians packed like sardines into these cryo trays, and the crew of the newly constructed mothership, all led by a Karen. Say hello to your scout squadrons. These are the only fighter-class ships we will ever be able to use, since we can't capture fighters and they will all be dead by the end of our first battle. Despite that, they do give me the chance to demonstrate the use of strike groups, stances, and tactics. Unlike most space RTS games, strike craft are built and commanded as individuals rather than by the squad. You'll have to form your own squads manually by selecting them and pressing one of these buttons down here. These formations allow the craft to hit harder in one pass than you could otherwise, at the cost of slowing them down to the top speed of their slowest number, so mixing interceptors in with stuff like defenders is ill-advised. The stances, meanwhile, enable you to modify the speed and attack power of your ships depending on which one you want more. For example, if a ship is in the middle of a pitched battle where neither side is giving ground, or space, you can set them to the aggressive stance to help them kill the enemy quicker at the cost of making them slower. If you have fresh reinforcements at the mothership that you need to send somewhere quickly, you can set them to evasive to make them get there faster but do less damage with their guns until you switch to another stance. Just above the stances, the tactics govern how your ships automatically react to the existence of enemy craft without your orders. Passive means they will refuse to attack anything without your explicit order to do so. Defensive means they'll attack anything that gets too close, but won't pursue them if they get too far away. And aggressive means that, once the enemy gets close, they'll engage and pursue the enemy for as long as they can see them. Now say hello to your resource collectors. Although they don't know it yet, they'll be serving a very important purpose later on, but for now, these trade school rejects will act as your Zerg drones, fetching usable resources from nearby asteroids and gas clouds and bringing them back home for processing. This function will only be important for the first couple of missions, since you automatically get all of the RUs in an area at the end of every mission, and will only be spending them on probes and replacing lost salvagers anyway, so RUs will very quickly cease to be an object. Now say hello to our lifeline, the salvage corvette. Until we find suitable combat vessels to appropriate, these will be the mothership's primary mode of defense against any and all threats, and our only method of asset acquisition. As such, we'll need to get them up to max capacity as soon as we can, but for now, we only have enough RUs for 2. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about the research ship. Normally you use it to unlock new ship types to build, but we can't build any of them anyway, so this vessel has no purpose for existing and we can safely ignore it. Nothing much to do here, so let's move on. Here we are at the edge of our star system. Another simple mission, we just have to meet up with the car Salim, and oh god, what the fuck? Oh, okay, never mind, we're safe. These are the Tyrannic Raiders. They're a band of intergalactic bandits whose primary strategy for space combat is praying to whatever god they worship that your keyboard and mouse stop working mid-fight, because they stand no chance otherwise. Their fighters are armed with Nerf guns made out of cardboard, and their corvettes are so slow that the salvagers can just casually saunter on up to them and pluck them like dandelions. You would think that they would notice the enemy vessel barreling towards them and be the slightest bit inclined to do something about it, but apparently they're just that dead set on having a tickle fight with the mothership. Snatch up all the corvettes you can and put them to work dealing with the fighters after the scouts bite it. They're terrible on their own, but in sufficient numbers they do a decent enough job at swatting enemy fighter wings. The Tyrannic carrier is going to come in closer for a photo op, after new corvettes throw peas at it until it gets bored and fucks off. God, imagine being part of a faction of interstellar pirates spanning across half the known galaxy, and then getting your ass handed to you by a bunch of desert people that just discovered the concept of space combat 5 fucking minutes ago. It would be funny if it weren't so pathetic. And now we're fucking homeless. Wonderful. Those frigates over there killing off the last remnants of my civilization don't look like Tyrannic Raiders. Let's take them in and have a look at them. This is the Taiidan Empire, the ones responsible for evicting us to this planet in the first place, and then blowing it up. They keep claiming that we deserved it for violating a 4,000-year-old treaty banning us from developing hyperspace tech. It would have been prudent for them to remind us of that instead of immediately resorting to genocide, but okay. Well, seeing as how we no longer have a house after the Taiidan Navy gave us a horrifically bad customer experience, I say it's only fair that we help Karen go to the manager's office on Higara and have a nice friendly chat with the manager of this establishment. But first, we'll need more ships.
Hyperspace jump successful.
Now we gotta make preparations to attack the fleet that destroyed Karak. Oh god, not again. These are the Bentusi. They exist to paywall you by forcing you to spend resources on this tech that you can't use. Apart from that, they offer you lore tidbits, give uselessly vague warnings, and generally be as unhelpful as they can.
Tyrannic Raider fighters are attacking. Prepare for more hostile ships to arrive.
More sacrifices approach. If you've been playing this right, you should have all 14 salvage corvettes, which will be exactly enough to snatch all of the incoming Tyrannic corvettes. You're going to want to save as many of these as possible and keep them safe because you will need them later on.
Several Tyrannic Raider capital ships have just emerged from hyperspace near the mothership.
Well, I guess this might count as an ambush. Limber up at least, boys. Don't strain yourselves.
Our first anti-capital ship weapons of the run, these ion array frigates have a good degree more bite than the pea shooters we've been gathering so far. Enough bite to kill the Tyrannic carrier before it can run off to its Taiidan sugar daddies at least. Now we have the tools to deal with both strikecraft and capital ships. Granted, these are the dullest tools in the shed and nowhere near enough to get us all the way home, but that problem will be rectified soon. The time has come for our first right and proper sortie against the Taiidan. We're not fighting Tyrannic shitters anymore. The Taiidan naval forces have actual functioning brains in their skulls, and some very, very functional weapons, including but not limited to... It looks kinda like a piss-colored cuttlefish if you squint hard enough. Its ion cannon is 25% stronger than the ones on your ion array frigates. They can prove troublesome if left unattended for too long, but there aren't enough of them here to pose a significant threat to the mothership. Yet. They'll supplement your ion arrays quite nicely if you can catch them, but they're low on their list of priority targets, especially when compared to 4 mass drivers shred through corvettes, while a pair of plasma bomb launchers allow to pester capital ships too. Don't let them get a beat on your salvagers, especially if they come in large numbers, which they always do. In this mission, our salvagers can catch smaller groups of them with casualties, but there is no way in hell that they'll be able to deal with all this without some help. So let's put those ion array frigates to use. They'll keep the assault frigates busy while the corvettes hurry in and grab as many as possible. Don't worry about grabbing all of them because the enemy carrier will keep building them and setting them up at you until it dies. Speaking of which, a mini mothership in terms of functionality, but it's thankfully not able to build super capital ships. We could steal it, but Homeworld Remastered doesn't let you build anything out of them like the original does. And even if we could, we wouldn't be able to build much because, again, no combat vessels allowed. It could serve as a nice lightning rod to draw enemy fire, though. But really, your time and effort would be much better spent on the first super capital combat vessels of the game. Each of them is worth a fistful of ion frigates, so do yourself a favor and grab them. The only complication with doing so is that each of them needs 4 salvagers to take instead of the 2 that frigates need, so the majority of your repo team will be tied up dealing with them instead of the assault frigates that will likely kill them, and you'll have less replacements to fill in for anyone that gets croaked. So ideally, most of the frigates should be either dead or on their way to HR before the destroyers have time to reach you. As mentioned before, salvagers aren't exactly stellar at face-taking enemy fire, so in order to keep them from getting shot up en route to their targets, they'll need to strike from behind or from the sides while they're distracted with something else. Also, it'll be in our best interest to micro the corvettes to have them take multiple enemy targets at once, as that will disable more enemy ships and reduce the amount of return fire it'll take when the enemy catches onto your thievery and moves to stop it. Your salvagers may require the most micromanagement, but your frigates shouldn't be neglected either. Your ion frigates should be ordered to attack and destroy in detail. Any assault frigates you capture should be ordered to join them at the earliest convenience. Any ships that aren't captured must be killed immediately because you have 2 angry destroyers coming in soon, and the last thing you need right now is to have your salvagers destroyed before you can capture them. Once the main wave of frigates has been dealt with and destroyers have been reappropriated, then the challenge is basically over. The carrier will continuously build and send frigates at you, so you can stick around and farm them for as long as you feel is necessary, but once you're ready to move on, just walk your new destroyers over and watch the fireworks. Now that's a much better looking fleet, but it will grow larger.
Hyperspace jump successful.
We haven't cleared the asteroid field. Prepare for collisions. Incoming asteroids must be destroyed before they impact with the mothership. Concentrate fire within this collision envelope.
I have no idea why the hell this mission exists. The game tries to gaslight you into thinking there's a challenge here by having you shoot these asteroids before they hit the mothership, but a good chunk of them aren't even on a collision course to begin with, and they're all made out of wet tissue paper regardless, so... You know what? I think the Tyrannic Raiders should have made another appearance here. Or better yet, another Taiidan patrol fleet that happens to intercept the mothership. That way you could have made the skeet shoot actually interesting by making the players split their forces between dealing with the enemy and fending off the asteroids, having to manage their forces under increased pressure and actually putting their newfound skills to the test. It would be a hell of a lot more interesting than just watching rocks float by.
From the clearing ahead.
New frigates available for construction.
Local resources.
This is a dangerous and unpredictable region. Can you give us information that will guide us through the nebula?
We hear nothing there. Even the Taiidan fear the great Nebula. No one returns.
The nebula is incredibly rich in energy and resources. Energy levels are so high that our sensors are having trouble compensating.
As soon as the mission starts, stuff your corvettes inside the mothership and keep them there. They won't be able to survive the coming shitstorm.
There is a contact closing with the mothership. Sensor instability in this region makes it difficult to identify. Prepare the ambassador.
This is the Garden of Kadesh. For 13 generations we have protected it from the unclean. The tyrannic raiders who came before you refused to join and were punished for this trespass. Like theirs, your ship has already defiled this holy place. If you have come to join, we welcome you, and will spare you your ship until all have disembarked. If you have come to consume the garden, you will be removed at once. What are your intentions?
We were unaware of the significance of this location. We mean no conflict. Please allow us time to prepare our engines so that we may withdraw as requested.
If you will not join, then die. There is no withdrawal from the garden.
The Kadeshi fighter swarms certainly look intimidating, but don't be fooled. Each of these drones is a victim of the devs trying to replicate the fuel mechanics that were present in the original. So when they operate for too long, they'll slow to a crawl and be rendered useless until they reach these fuel pods to get their fix. The pods themselves are useless to us, but disposing them quickly to defang the swarmers, then concentrate all fire on the enemy mothership until it retreats. Instead of kicking the swarmers while they're down, use them to guide you in the direction of the mothership after it jumps, as new fuel pods periodically jump in near it. Rinse and repeat until the mothership gets bored and fucks off.
Coming into dock. Dock order confirmed.
Coming in, we offer you the chance to join us and live here in peace.
Dock order confirmed.
We cannot stay. We're on a journey. But let there be peace between us, for we have something in common. The hyperdrive technology left to us by our ancestors is identical to yours. The homeworld we seek may be yours as well.
You will fail. The evil that drove us here will find and destroy you. From you, they will know of us and come here. This cannot come to pass.
Join them in death then, you corvette-killing pricks. The previous mission times 3, but this time the junkies have brought something nasty to bear, and no, it isn't their community-shared poop sock. So you know how ion cannons are large and power-hungry enough that a frigate armed with one has to wrap their entire hull around just to fit it inside? The Kadeshi multi-beam frigate mounts 4 ion cannons on a smaller chassis than every other frigate in the game. We're in trouble if we don't deal with them ASAP. Problem is, these godforsaken swarmers won't leave my repo teams alone until their afternoon crash comes along, so unfortunately a lot of these frigates will have to die. I only managed to get 5, but those 5 alone are very much welcome. Once we destroy 2 of the motherships, the last one tries to run back to this ship that looks identical to the one we found on Karak. Apparently, these guys also fell victim to the Taiidan manager's managerialness and were evicted to Karak, but as we crossed into the Great Nebula, they decided to split off and hide inside it. Presumably because they couldn't get enough of this sick-ass view. Eventually, they resorted to aggressively begging passers-by for food. One thing led to another, and now they're sitting in their little bubble ships watching helplessly as I blow up their last mothership. Now let's hurry up and get the fuck out of this shithole already.
Anomaly detected. Override engaged.
We're finally out of the Garden of Kadesh, but we're not out of the woods yet, because this is the mission that we've been saving all those tyrannic corvettes for, and the mission that I've been dreading the most. Nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows where it came from. Nobody knows who built it or what purpose it was supposed to serve. All we know about it is that any capital ship that gets too close to it immediately falls under its control. Because of this, our acquired fleet will have to sit this one out and let the corvettes handle this. You can try luring the guard fleet away and perform hit-and-run attacks on it, but the tyrannic shitboxes aren't fast enough to get out of danger without taking losses, so you'll just get worn down by attrition. The real solution lies in your resource collectors, and your secret, much more important function: to be chew toys. The resource collectors are technically corvette-class ships, so they're immune to the ghost ship's unholy magics and are able to get in close and draw the attention of the fleet. They can't damage the ship, but they don't need to. All they have to do is sit in one place and get shot to death until your salvage corvettes can swoop in and repossess the possessed vessels, including this missile destroyer. Instead of the usual mass drivers and ion cannons, the missile destroyer is armed with an array of launchers that fire volleys of fast-tracking, long-range missiles that work wonders against fighters and corvettes, but do next to nothing against frigates and capital ships. This vessel couldn't have come at a better time for us, because our few remaining corvettes will have an increasingly hard time fending off strike-craft swarms as the Taiidan attacks ramp up in size, and our assault frigates can only do so much to help them.
We have known of this ship, but could never approach it. We are particularly vulnerable to its influence. The Bentusi would like the information you have acquired. It will be transferred automatically if you choose to trade. The information was successfully transferred. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome, buddy. By the way, I am currently being hunted down by a galaxy-spanning empire who is occupying my homeworld. So would you kindly get off your sorry asses and help me?
Conflict is not our way. We will bring your cause to the Galactic Council. The Taiidan rule the Empire, but even they must answer to the Council.
Ooh, very scary.
This level's gimmick is simple. This is a microwave, and you're a hamster. Don't step outside of these barely visible dust clouds unless you like the smell of baked multi-beam frigates. And there are two paths for us to take to the research station. The one on the right, which is defended by squads of strike craft, several super capital ships, and a minefield, or the one on the left, which is defended by nothing. The choice here is obvious. The minefield is more of an inconvenience than anything else. After killing the mine layer, just wait for them to detonate before moving in to capture the real objective of this mission.
It's time to go to heaven, my child.
What are you doing? Stop it. Cut it out. Help.
The most powerful combat vessel in the game, armed with almost twice the number of guns as a destroyer, shits fury all over everything larger than a corvette and takes it in kind. And as soon as you see one, snag it ASAP, if only to stop it from hammering your fleet. Get too close to the station and you'll be accosted by a swarm of frigates while the local carrier tries to run away and tattle on you. Your new destroyers and heavy cruisers should make dealing with them both much easier. Nothing much else to say about this mission, really. I get what they were going for with the whole choose the right path for you shtick, but really taking a shorter defended path is more rewarding than punishing thanks to those unescorted capital ships. Maybe it would have helped to curve it some more so that the salvage corvettes would have to exit the dust cloud to bring back any ships, which would kill them and stop them from rendering the super capitals trivial, but then again, this is supposed to be a remaster, not a remake, so it's gotta be as close to the original as they can manage, so blah.
We have intercepted a coded Taiidan transmission.
Not condoning kidnapping, especially not on live television, but holy fuck, why is it so expensive to find tickets to an All-American Rejects concert these days? I'm not selling my goddamn fucking kidneys for an hour-long set just to hear Move Along. You know I bet if we hired a gang to throw those punks in a shipping container and smuggled them out to some remote island in the middle of ass-fuck nowhere for a week or so and forced them to play, no one would notice, right? I'm not endorsing any of this, I'm just thinking out loud. Human trafficking is
Hyperdrive disengaged.
Moving on along now.
The Bentusi are here. They're in distress.
Group 3, en route. Group
sake, come here. The Bentusi are already half dead, so we have to move quickly. Salvagers will take 2 destroyers and a heavy cruiser, everything else moves to kill the assault frigates to keep the salvagers safe, then have them dispose of whatever's left. Boom, done.
It has been forbidden to possess this information for some time, but after your intervention on our behalf, we feel compelled to share it with you. Reach your home world. Establish your claim. We will summon the council.
Yeah, you go and have fun with that.
Emergency alert. Hyperdrive malfunction. The quantum waveform is collapsing. Safety interrupt engaged. Prepare for immediate return to normal space.
Group 3 copies.
Dropping out of hyperspace. All systems online.
We are caught in a gravity well. Fighters and corvettes will be unable to move. Seek out the source of this field and destroy it.
Some trap this is. Maybe next time bring something bigger than an assault frigate. I'll be taking that missile destroyer to go, by the way, thanks. Armed with a single mass driver turret and a repair beam that lets it heal friendly ships. We actually saw this ship for the first time all the way back in Mission 5, but there was only one of them and it got killed by the Kadeshi, so it didn't really get the chance to do anything. Now, however, we have a bunch more of them, and they'll quickly earn their place in the fleet by keeping the rest of our ships alive and topped up. That goofy looking tray you see on the top of it is actually a docking bay for your fighters and corvettes to land down and heal, although any remaining corvettes have fallen by the wayside at this point in favor of my missile destroyers. Their carrier is out here by its lonesome, so we'll go ahead and kill it. And there are all the big guns coming in after I've killed the carrier, give me that. Turns out the real reason this trap was toothless was because it wasn't meant for us. It was meant for this guy.
Attention Kushan Mothership. This is Captain Elson of the Taiidan Elite Guard Destroyer Capella. We wish to defect and need assistance. In return, we are prepared to help you. Please respond. I am Group Captain Elson of the Destroyer Capella. The Taiidan Empire has become decadent and corrupt over the centuries. The use of the forbidden atmosphere deprivation device on your planet finally triggered the rebellion. Help me get access to the rebellion's communication network. I will show you a way through the defenses surrounding your homeworld. Take me to the ship graveyard at Karos. Hidden in a derelict, there is a relay I can use with your help. The rebellion waits for my sign to move into its next phase.
He seems trustworthy enough. Let's follow him to this isolated location. I'm certain that nothing was waiting for us there.
What a cheerful location.
So Captain Elson wants us to send a strike craft here as this conspicuously well-organized junkyard
I got one.
to transmit a terror message to the very real Taiidan rebellion that will definitely not set up a trap for me to walk into, I swear.
Get that motherfucker!
This is the Junkyard Dog. The Junkyard Dog is a corvette-sized vessel equipped with stronger armor than a heavy cruiser, and a pair of jaws powerful enough to grab and carry entire supercapitals by itself. The Junkyard Dog is the least dangerous ship in the history of the Homeworld franchise. Yes, even less so than Tyrannic Raiders, because at least they're actually capable of destroying your ships, if only theoretically. All the Junkyard Dog does is grab them and take them to these hyperspace gates, which then deposit them in a random spot on the map. Your ships aren't attacked any further, so all you have to do is shoot the dog until it dies, then go clean up the autoguns so your salvagers can grab them and bring them back. This thing exists only to waste your time. And the kicker? It's a completely optional encounter. There aren't any autoguns at the top or bottom of the map, so you can literally just fly your salvagers over to Junkyard and down to the office and you just win. Let's get out of here already. We're in the home stretch now. All that stands between us and the homeworld is this ring of hyperspace inhibitors and a massive sphere of ion frigates guarding it. It's not as intimidating as it looks. All you need is your salvagers and a bit of patience. Bring a ship or two close to bait a few of them into breaking formation and pursuing, then kill or capture at your leisure. The hyperspace gates and carrier are supposed to be providing reinforcements, but barring the first gate, they just don't. Something in the code probably broke. Homeworld Remastered isn't exactly the pinnacle of stability. It runs well enough most of the time, barring the occasional crash, but every once in a while you get shit like this. Shame too, because I feel like this mission could have been loads of fun if everything actually worked as intended. On the bright side, the name of the mission is pretty fitting. Oh well. We're in the outskirts of the Homeworld system, and only now did the Taiidan begin to take us seriously. A semi-competent enemy fleet is escorting this giant asteroid that they intend to ram into the mothership to kill it. Not the stupidest thing they've done in this game. No heavy cruisers though for some reason. You should have enough super capitals by now to outnumber theirs and defeat them in detail, and you can use all those ion frigates to keep the enemy busy. It's not going to need them all that much anyway. Don't forget to destroy the headshot asteroid as it passes by. It's about as tough as a destroyer, so just concentrate fire on it for a few moments as it should be pulverized. Alright, no more distractions. It's time to head home.
Me, myself, personally, I done said some bullshit on the internet, bro, but you gotta go, buddy. Like, I'm gonna get you out of here. It's the last thing I do. I ain't talking about getting your account suspended either, dog. We gonna kill you, dog. We gonna get you gone, bro. I'm talking about, we gonna bury you in the dirt, and we gonna stone you to death. Me and 600 niggas gonna have you up against the wall, and we all gonna shoot 100 round clips at you, bro. We gonna burn your house down. We gonna I'm gonna find your address. I'm gonna find your parents' address. I'm gonna tell your mom about this tweet. Everything about this is wrong, bro. You are not okay, man. And you going to a bad place. You going to hell, bro. There's no peace for where you going, bro. You not gonna make it out. Your damnation will be eternal.
Group 3 copies. Group 3 reporting. New heading set. Course set. Group 5 copies. Repairs initiated. Group 7.
We've lost
order
Karen.
confirmed.
Looks like the Emperor has finally gotten fed up with my space pirate larp and has decided to come stop me himself. Do mind the enemy fleets jumping in on top of you. They'll ignore your ships and make a beeline for the mothership. If you don't deal with them fast enough, the mothership will die. This is where our support frigates really come in clutch.
Fleet is coming out of hyperspace right on top of us. We are being overwhelmed.
This is Captain Nelson. We have been battling reinforcement fleets to get here and have lost many ships already. The Emperor's flagship is here.
Oh shit, it's Elson. He wasn't kidding about the rebellion after all. He's here to give us some free ships and then go get himself killed trying to take on the Emperor by himself, but we're not going to let that happen today. No matter how many ships the Emperor forgets to build, nothing is going to save him from the death stack of stolen ships headed right for him. This is what you get for being so sloppy with your genocides. You know what? You don't even deserve to die quickly. How about Captain Elson deal with you? Game, set, match. And just like that, we've won. Even without building any combat-capable vessels whatsoever, and playing like a complete shitter at times, it is very much possible to beat the entirety of Homeworld 1's story handily. I'll be honest with you, I thought that this whole run was going to be a cakewalk, and it certainly was at times, but a few of the missions caught me off guard with how tough they were. Mission 5 in particular was the hardest to deal with because it really hit that sweet spot of difficulty where the enemy fleet is big enough to be a feasible threat, and I haven't had the chance to steal enough ships to really challenge them. and it feels so good to overcome challenges like that, even if I have to give myself a headache banging my head against the wall until I find a weak point. Mission 9, on the other hand, was challenging for completely different reasons. Sure, I had amassed a fleet large enough to trample the guard fleet protecting the ghost ship, but its gimmick meant that I couldn't use the fleet in any meaningful capacity. Not as satisfying as Mission 5 due to having to exploit the AI to achieve victory. And besides those two missions, the difficulty of this challenge run ranged from roughly on par with a standard run to Glastron pushover, and the biggest contributing factor to that is undoubtedly the AI. You see, Homeworld Remastered is a bit of a misnomer. The first game uses a different engine and reworked mechanics both based off of those found in its sequel, Homeworld 2. The problem with this is primarily to do with how strikecraft are handled. In the second game, all strikecraft are built and controlled in squads, so the engine didn't know how to handle the manual assignment of formations, resulting in any that are formed being broken as soon as contact with the enemy was made. The devs eventually fixed this bug a year after release by reworking the formation system from the ground up for both games, and it worked for most part. Squads now actively stay in formation when you use them, but the fix was by no means perfect, which is why you have occasionally see squads of Taiidan acting like they just got kicked out of a bar and have to junkyard their way into battle. Besides that, the AI is, in theory, supposed to be programmed to prioritize salvage corvettes for destruction over everything else, which it sometimes neglects to do, especially when it's already engaged in combat with any other ship, even something as innocuous as a resource collector. Combine those issues with the occasional bout of enemy units and structures coming down with a bad case of non-functional AI along with the ridiculous strength and versatility of the salvage corvettes, and you get a recipe for a challenge run that's, to be frank, easier than it should be. As long as you don't get your salvagers killed needlessly, they should be more than able to neutralize most enemy vessels that could pose a meaningful threat to the mothership, and help you snowball hard enough to breeze through the last quarter of the campaign. Just goes to show why you should never judge a book by its cover, or a starship by its size. The salvage corvette may be dwarfed by most other ships in the game, but it still manages to be the most dangerous unit in the history of Homeworld. Except for maybe the Keeper, but that's a story for a different time.